All right. Hello, Professor. I was already in the Coaching and Leadership 1 class, and I did the video there as well. Now we're on to the Coaching and Leadership 2 class. It was, again, a lot of great content, great knowledge that I've gained from it. And yeah, I'm here to talk about all the things we've covered for the next 10 minutes. I'll try to keep it within 10 minutes. I know we're supposed to talk about the four topics that stood with you the most. I actually came up with 5 of them, so I'm gonna try to keep it short. But yeah, in the first week, they talked about in the podcast. They talked about how every drill and every practice has to have a purpose to it. And I think that's very true and something that a lot of coaches, especially early in their career, don't understand as much as the experienced coaches do. They mentioned a great quote from Dennis Bergkamp. I'm Dutch, so I know how to pronounce it. And it says, "Behind every kick of the ball, there has to be a purpose." And this is very true, and this is of course a quote directed to soccer, but it counts in every sport. I play tennis, and every shot you make in tennis, it has to have a purpose to trouble your opponent. You cannot just hit it through the middle and expect to win points. You have to space your opponent to the corner so you can create open spaces to hit into. And this is something you can learn in practices, and this is something that as a coach you need to have a great understanding of. And this also requires a lot of intelligence as a coach to be able to see what are the best practices to make these players become better and smarter tennis players. And I'm mentioning tennis now, but this counts for every sport. And so yeah, I thought that was a very interesting topic, and something that because of reading through all that, I have a better understanding of. So that was very helpful. In the second week, there was a podcast where they talked about the importance of physiology over psychological aspect of the game, because these days we see a lot of people talk about the mental part of the game, and some teams or some clubs, they, according to this podcast, they tend to overlook the physiological part of it. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, I agree with this too. The most important thing is that your body is in the best shape possible to compete, because you can have the best mindset, the best mental preparation, but if you're not fit, and if your body is not able to compete for a long period of time, you're not going to be able to compete with the best. So it's always important as a coach to make sure that the body is in shape first, and then you can talk about the mental aspect. But everyone needs to be fit, everyone needs to be at their best of their ability, and from there on you can look at other stuff, like again the mental part of it. But I think it's important as a coach to understand that even though both are extremely important, the physiological part is a little bit more important. So yeah. In week 3, we talked about the importance of sleep. In the podcast, they talked about the importance of sleep and nutrition. This was the podcast by Dr. Lockley. And this is something I want to make this a little bit personal. For me, I have seen that this is extremely important, because when I came here to college, I was super excited about the college life, and I was staying up late at night with friends, even going to some parties, and we all do that sometimes. And I started getting super tired on the tennis court, and I realized that I'm slower, I'm not sharp as I usually am. I'm just less sharp on the court. My reaction time is worse. Everything gets worse. And about 2 years ago, I started to stick to a sleep schedule. I go to bed every night. Of course, I wasn't able to do it every night, but try to go to bed every night around 12 to 1 a.m. And wake up around 8, depending on classes, of course. But I try to wake up around 8 to 9. And I've done this now for the past 24 months, I think, and it's helping me a lot. I feel like on the court, I'm there, I'm 100% there. I'm not sleepy, I'm not dreamy, and I also just feel like I'm faster and able to to do more things that I wasn't able to do when I was not fit. And same goes for nutrition. It's very hard in this school to have a good nutrition, and I think that's something that we're really growing as a school, the University of the Commons. But I feel like with nutrition we're still very much behind, because I hear a lot about D1 schools, and they all have great nutrition. They all have their athletes all get like meal packages with the needed food for them to be at their best of their ability, and we are just left out here with the cat food, which we can all agree is not great. So I think that is something that also for me and for anyone that goes to this school, I mean, I'm graduating now, but for the future, I think if we want to become even better as athletes here, this is something we really need to focus on, because nutrition is very important. I'm a big tennis fan, and a guy like Novak Djokovic, he has a very, very strict nutrition, and there's a reason he's the best in the world right now, and I think nutrition has a big part in that. So in week 4, we talked about emotional reactions as a team. How as a group you have to react in a certain emotion to keep everyone together, and I think this is very important, especially in team sports. And of course, tennis is an individual sports, but here we play as a team. If everyone starts reacting negatively towards situations, this affects the people around them. And I think last year, this was what cost us our championship, because we had a lot of negative guys in our group, and every time something went wrong, so one of our guys was losing a set, they start complaining about them, they start talking negatively, and the whole mood went down. And now we're way more bonded and tight as a team, and we all talk positively about each other, we all lift each other up, and we won the championship this year. So I think how you react to certain scenarios in a game, outside of a game, in practice, it has a massive impact on the players and on the performance. Then lastly, week 5, I thought the first 5 weeks were the most interesting ones, so I highlighted those. In week 5, they talk about communication between coaches and players. I'm not a coach, but I am an assistant or captain. I would say captain, or kind of assistant coach right now. And I see that there's a lot of different cultures, and this is very hard to deal with, and it takes a pretty tough skill to deal with all these different characters, because some coaches, they have their own way of talking to people, and just one way, and this helps with some people, but it doesn't help at all with other people. So you need to be able, as a coach, you need to be able to adapt to these situations and adapt to each character, each individual. And this is something I'm trying to work on as I'm trying to become an assistant or a coach. So it was a very nice week to learn about that. So to talk about my future, I just made a Facebook post to apply for assistant coach at a different school. I've got some replies back with some interest, and I hope to become officially an assistant coach for a tennis team. So that's why this class was very big to me, to learn a lot about all the things that come with that. And so to answer the question for this video that you asked us, what are you going to take with you? I think what I'm going to take with me is the things I just discussed, how to be able to deal with all the different characters, how to make sure that, everyone has a good sleep schedule, a good nutrition. I think all these aspects are important. I don't want to highlight one specific aspect. I think sleep is important, nutrition is important, having a good bond is important, making sure everyone is in shape, making sure people don't start cramping, everything that is needed to win the things that we want to win. So yeah, I think this class helped me a lot to learn new things, but also to refresh old things that I already kind of knew, but maybe underestimated it a little bit. And now I'm aware of these things, and I have them in my mind, so I can take that with me, and hopefully I get the assistant job, and I can take all this information with me and bring it to use. So that would be great. Thank you very much for the class, and have a good summer.